Hello everyone, and welcome to my Coil Turn 2 tutorial. My name is once again Exile, and let's get started. So the entire Turn 2 is actually an entire gauntlet fight. You're going to start off with a bunch of little these ads, and depending on which route you go, is going to dictate what type of abilities the final boss, the ADS, will have. The entirety of Turn 2 is on a timer. You have 12 minutes to complete the turn and kill an ADS. If not, your entire group will wipe. Couple of things to keep in mind is that each node and the boss will put a stacking debuff called vulnerability up. This does exactly as it sounds, and your tanks will start taking increased damage, so you have to continue to taunt off of each other. We decide to do the first switch at 3, and every switch after as soon as the other tank's debuffs fall off. This allows a little leeway room because you can heal through 4, but it starts to get very hard to start healing through 5. We also position our tanks at a 90-degree angle with each other. This way your melee DPS continue to do their full rotation and is not hindered. During all this, each node will also cast something called high voltage, which needs to be silenced. You could choose to do this by a paladin. We usually allow the paladin that's not tanking to do this, or to have a bard rotation go if you have an extra bard or something like that to free up your tanks. Normally the tank that's not tanking is kind of just standing there auto attacking, so it's something for them to do. A few things to keep in mind as a tank is watch your other tank's animations. If you go to taunt as they're doing a Rage or Hellion, if they're a Paladin or certain other attacks as a Warrior, they're actually going to hold aggro and get an extra stack to 2. This is because your taunt will only give you one entity more than your opponent. So if they go ahead and hit it, you're going to have to do a full combo of your attacks before you can catch up. Communication is very important during this. Talk to your other tanks, see when it's okay, and if you're in the middle of your cast, tell your other tank. Tell them to wait, hang on a minute, whatever you have to do. When silencing, the animation actually have to complete as well in order for the silence to take effect. So be very careful if you're starting to spam it during a huge combo or something like that, which is just another reason why we have our off tank do it, if nothing to worry about. The last little trick you could do as a tank is to actually put a focus target for your off tank. This will allow you to see how many stacks they have, when it's going to fall off, and you can actually judge how much threat you should do, because threat can be an issue in this fight. So now, as I was saying before, depending on what nodes you actually kill will dictate what type of abilities the boss will have. So we choose to go down the east side. By doing this, we're going to take off a huge chain lightning attack of the boss and fire waves, making the fight a lot easier for our group composition. You might want to adjust it on yours. The other side will give a physical damage up, a pierce resistance, and a blunt resistance or a haste, depending on which things you kill there. It can be very hard, especially since most DPS actually do piercing attacks. The last one we choose to kill actually will take off a firestorm ability, which will put this giant fire around the room, red lines, basics stay out of the red line, but it can mess up your interrupts as a paladin for running out of it. Because if you get hit by it, it is very devastating. It hits me as a tank for around 3.5 to 4k, which on top of all the other abilities can be a lot. ADS and his minions also have something called a repelling cannon. The off tank and I decide to actually stay in it during it so that we never miss an interrupt. The damage is very low even with certain stacks of vulnerability up, and if you really feel the need you can pop a small cooldown during it, especially running with 2 paladins. The ADS and the nodes, you'll never really tank them more than 30 seconds, and then you'll have about 15 to 20 seconds of off time depending on his rotation. This will give you time to actually pretty much have a cooldown up the entire time. That skill right there was the Firestorm ability, which by killing this ad we will not have to worry about on ADS. The disposal though is actually nice enough to give you a warning when that firestorm is coming, and that's going to be about a quarter of a second cast. That is actually, if you don't watch, is very easy to miss. When that actually goes off, about 2 to 3 seconds later, he'll actually cast Firestorm. So if we just give it a moment right there, if you blinked, you missed it. So you might want to rewind the video. That is your warning to move out of the way. So during the ADS fight, he will actually gain new abilities by eating the nodes you destroy, starting at 75%, 50%, and 25%. At 75%, his major mechanic, Agalon Rot, will begin. He'll actually eat the node and cast it. This is why we have numbers above all the healers and DPS of our group. is going to put a ticking down poison on one person. That poison has to be passed on to another member of the group before it ticks down to zero. If it does tick down to zero, it will instantly destroy your group. You have to have communication very open. The person he's going to choose will be completely random. And so we mark it so that no matter who gets it, we know where it's going. So if a tank gets it, we actually have one of the melee DPS pick it up off the tank. Make sure you do not get in front of the cone. Make sure you go a little bit behind or through the boss himself to pick it up. That DPS will then hold on to it till about 5 seconds are left. As soon as you pass it on, that person that had it actually gets an immunity from it. So that person cannot be passed on twice. So you cannot keep passing it off between two people. You want to pass the rot on with about 5 seconds left on your timer. The reason we have everything numbered is so you know exactly where you're going. If you're number 1 and you get it, you go to number 2 as soon as you reach 5 seconds. If you're 4, you go to 5 and etc. We actually have melee be the link between the two ends because they can move out, grab it, and go the other side without running through people. By passing on every 5 with 5 seconds remaining, you only need to have a 5-person rotation with this. If you get a little bit more, you can add in a melee. Try not to use a tank because they do not want to move ADS at all. After the first round of Agalon Rot, or the 5 people that are passing it off from each other do receive it, the next person, the last person in the chain to have it, could actually stand on top of the first person wherever you started the rotation. This is because as soon as the immunity is dropped, you'll pass it on. So you could stand there and continue DPSing or not and not have to worry about moving for those 30 seconds. So it's very important for communication on that first one. You want to know who has it, you want to know where they're going, and how much time is left. The only other new mechanic is going to be something called piercing laser. Very simply move out of it. It's that easy, nothing to it. He's going to continue to do the repelling cannons, which the tanks eat, while the melee run in and out, and you have to continue to interrupt high voltage with your silence rotation. At 50%, ADS will actually eat another node and start gaining void zones on the floor. By this time in the fight, the Agalon Rot would have won around once, so everyone that doesn't have it will have immunity. This means you could group up with the next person and not worry about the chain so much. So at 25%, ADS will eat his last node, gaining a huge circular knockback. There will be a very small kind of pie-shaped sliver that is okay to stand in. That's where you want your tanks to be for the silence rotation. Melee DPS should run out. Don't worry about your DPS, it's not that crazy. We have the ADS goes down extremely quickly. We choose to use our limit at the very end of the fight. This way we just kill it, you don't have to use it in the beginning, there's no DPS rates, it's very relaxed, easy as long as you control all the aspects. You might have a mana problem if the fight goes on too long, which was one of our issues. Try to have Mage Song go up when you need it, things like that. Try to do it more towards the beginning of the fight. So as the fight goes more and more, and there's more mechanics, more people are likely to get hit. I've been discussing how important communication is, so I'm actually going to stop narrating now and let you guys actually listen to us during the last 50% of this boss, and all the callouts we do, and just how important things are. So it might have been a little boring to listen to and not have me yapper all over it on top of it, but you guys get the idea. Mumble stays extremely clear unless we're doing a call out or something like that because communication is that important. We have the countdowns going on, we have the timers, we have the tank switches all at once. I hope my video was informative, guys. I hope you guys have a great time playing Final Fantasy. Thanks for watching.